reason that I'm so focused on Christianity first and foremost out of all of the religions is because it's pretty much the origin. Well, it's the Torah and the Pentateuch are the basis and the beginning of all these other off breeds. For example, Islam, they still follow the Old Testament. Um, the Jews, they still hold to the Old Testament. So if you show how the Old Testament has all these fallacies and contradictions, and you show it to somebody who has an open mind, an educated person, then they'll be able to easily see that it's a bunch of bullshit. The problem with religious thinking is that it confines you to a single paradigm. So when you're stuck in the Bible, for example, anything or any opinion, idea, theory that is contrary to what your pastor or preacher told you, you're automatically going to shut out. And a lot of these religions, they encourage you not to do the research, not to do further studies, not to consider other opinions or possibilities. So when you make it out of that religious paradigm, you're able to mentally escape from the matrix a lot easier. And a lot of people, they've been trapped in these religious paradigms all their lives, so they don't know what it's like to think outside the box of that Bible or that Quran or that Bhagavad Gita. It's like if somebody goes to a restaurant, and when they go to the restaurant, this is their first time at the restaurant, and they order a particular entree. After they're done eating that entree, they say, "Oh, this is a good entree. I like this one. It's the best one in the restaurant." So every time they go back to that restaurant, they order the same entree because they think that that's the best one there, but they haven't tried nothing else. So if you've only tried one entree, you cannot say that the rest of the entrees on the menu are not as good or better. You have to branch out and taste these things, sample these different entrees before you can really decide which one is best for you and for your success. And that's what I did personally. I started off, of course, as an African in America. I started off under the Christian paradigm because that's what the slave masters taught the slaves. That's what the colonialists forced upon the Africans in Africa, in most parts of Africa. That's what the Spanish conquistadors forced upon the Mexicans in Mexico. That's what they forced upon the Indians in India, for the most part. So I started off under that Christian paradigm. Then I shifted over to Islam when I started noticing the contradictions in the Bible. But after I noticed some contradictions in Islam, I was like, no, let me try something else. So I invented my own form of spirituality for a while. Just started doing my own thing, kind of like more on the paganistic side. Kind of similar to where I'm at now. However, now I'm under that African Kemet spirituality a little bit, but from Islam I moved over to the higher Christian faith, and I really consider myself a member of all these different religions. But as I was going through these bouncing religion to religion, I noticed that they all have faults. And if you were to sincerely accept any of these doctrines as the absolute truth, then you're cheating yourself from a real education. So now, what I do, after I found Africa last year, the beginning of Africa, well, the beginning of last year, I found African history. I found Sonetta TV, Sonetta Studios. That's what woke me up. Was when I started watching the debates, the people from the brothers from the Kemetic side and the brothers from the Hebrew Israelite side, and I noticed that. Well, first I started learning a little bit more about history that I didn't know. So I was like, it made me ask questions when I heard about the Kikuyu, or when I heard about the Songhai, the Dahomey, when I heard about Nubia, Kemet, all these different empires that I didn't know nothing about. I was like, whoa, let me check these out. So I checked them out, and it gave me a certain level of pride and understanding of my culture and history. You know what I mean? So from there, just blew up. You know what I mean? So from there, my mind just started getting freer and freer. Once I broke away from the bounds, from the chains of religion. Once I found Africa, so to speak. So I encourage you. I mean, even if you do follow, if you adhere to a certain book, you prefer the Bible over any other book, you prefer the Quran over any other book, you must still, at the same time, do your research. You can't accept anything. The Bible, the Quran, what's that book called? Huckleberry Finn. You can't accept none of these books as 100%, 100 proof, absolute truths until you do the research. Study the history of Christianity. Study how it was started. Study how it became popular. Study the history of Islam if you're a Muslim. I mean, you have an obligation to yourself, a responsibility to yourself, to study these things that you're dedicating your life to. So that's all I'm saying when I say when I'm beating up on this religion or that religion. It's not that I'm beating up on you as an individual. I'm beating up on that religious practice, because religion as a whole, as an entirety, throughout history has been used for political reasons. These nations converted over to these religions for safety. If a Christian nation conquered a Muslim nation, that the Muslim nation became Christian. That in Ethiopia it happened. You know what I mean? So you have to just adhere to yourself, man. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Open your mind to different possibilities, because science is ever growing. Information is always, new information is always coming about. So if I'm still using information from the 1700s and you're using information from 2016, then you got me. Because you coming with new information and old information. And I'm stuck on that old stuff. I'm stuck in the 17th century. Because that's what, just wake up. That's all it is. I'm not beating up on nobody. Much love to everybody. Subscribe to my channel. Like it, subscribe, and follow me, Palawanga. Follow your boy, friend your boy, Facebook, Heru Wabi Palawanga. Keeping it all the way, Kemet, African history all the way, Y'all stay black, stay strong. Black power. Revolutionary Black Panther Party.